Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the National Anthem of Australia.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I now present to you the Deputy Chancellor of Monash University, Mr. Shane Buggle, who will open this graduation ceremony.
Graduates and guests, our Honorary Graduate and Guest Speaker, Mr. Ian Pyman, President and Vice-Chancellor, Professor Margaret Gardner, Vice Provost, Graduate Education, Professor Zlatko Zerkis, Dean of the Faculty of Law, Professor Brian Horrigan, distinguished visitors, members of the faculty, it is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the Council of Monash University to this, the 1015 graduation ceremony of Monash University, which has been formed on country for which the Kulin nations have been the traditional owners and custodians for many centuries. The university acknowledges their cultures, and we pay our respects to their elders past and present. I now call upon President and Vice-Chancellor, Professor Margaret Gardner, to address the Assembly.
Mr. Deputy Chancellor, members of Monash University Council, our Honorary Graduate and Guest Speaker, Mr. Ian Pyman, colleagues, guests, and particularly graduands, today is one of celebration for you, the graduands, and to everyone graduating, I offer my sincere congratulations. The ceremony is formal, the rituals drawing on centuries of practice in graduations, including the particular elements that are special to Monash. Formality doesn't signal lack of enjoyment or passion. It serves to mark an occasion that joins each graduating student to the many who came before and those who will follow. The effort of you all, those of you graduating today and those who've supported you, the efforts you've made to reach this point deserve recognition. They deserve to be treated with a certain gravity and seriousness. And so today serves as an acknowledgement that today you join that line of graduates that dates back not just to Monash's first ceremony in 1964, but to an academic tradition that arguably begins with the University of Bologna in 1088. And it is today that the university certifies that you've acquired the analytical abilities, the deep knowledge of your fields, and the capabilities that a Monash degree implies. These are very valuable things, but we like to think that you've taken away rather more than that from your time here at Monash. We hope you've forged values that reflect the ones that the university holds dear. We hope we've nurtured in you the love of discovery that's expressed in the university's motto, Ancora Imparo. Those words, attributed, depending on who you believe, variously to Dante and Michelangelo, translate as I am still learning, or perhaps indeed I am still discovering. It's unlikely that you came here to Monash in the first place without a healthy intellectual curiosity. But I hope that your time here has strengthened that determination to understand more of yourselves and your world. And more importantly, I hope that it should have helped you recognise that the hunger for knowledge can be indeed a very powerful force for good. And it's that desire for discovery, that desire to learn new things, to push new boundaries, that in fact fuels universities and fuels Monash. It drives many things and it's produced many changes, and they range from innovations that go back to early work of Monash, the groundbreaking work in IVF that helped and continues to help thousands of people have children, to currently, for example, the work on the bionic eye that's on the cusp of human trials. We also hope that your time here has shaped the nature and raised the level of your ambition in a way that reflects the ambition of the university itself. Monash is widely recognised as being one of the world's top 100 universities, a position it's reached in less than 60 years. That's a quick, short sprint to that position. And I use those rankings, important as they are, to just signal ambition, but it is not in rankings that our ambition resides. A strong reputation, which is what a ranking is only ever the byproduct of ambition. And the key is the scale, the nature, the usefulness indeed of the challenges we set ourselves. For Monash, that's meant many things. We've contributed to all sorts of new systems for developing and developed economies, worked on revolutionising water management in cities across the globe, developing, for example, new ways of administering oxytocin to save the lives of tens of thousands of mothers in the developing world. For the Faculty of Law, those challenges have included demonstrating leadership in areas such as human rights law, to look at new regulatory forms and ways of regulating, to consider the ways we might innovate in justice. They also include educating legal practitioners who not only scale the heights of the profession, but who contribute in many fields and we hope help to build not just a better Australia but a better world. And we can think of many examples, people like Marilyn Warren, the current Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, human rights advocate Julian Burnside, many other people who've contributed through political life, people like Professor Mick Dodson, the Indigenous Australian barrister, social justice advocate. There are many forms of ambition, and for you have to ask yourself what form your ambition will take. But implicit in all the varied forms of ambition is the idea of service, the notion that the most noble end to which one can direct one's talents and efforts is indeed the greater good. As our namesake, the great Australian Sir John Monash once wrote, "Equip yourself for life, not solely for your own benefit, but for the benefit of the whole community." That doesn't mean that we expect every Monash graduate to discover a life-saving vaccine, to end global warming or global poverty, but they're not bad ambitions to have. There should always, we expect, however, be an awareness that the decisions you make and the actions you take in your professional and personal lives have implications for all of us. And from the advantages you gain from this education, there is always an opportunity to give something to others. We hope that apart from that ambition and that service, that we have been able to inculcate an openness to new ideas, perspectives and cultures. Your education would not have succeeded were not your opinions and preconceptions challenged, and I hope they were. The diversity of experience of your fellow students, as well as the ideas and experience of those of the staff with whom you worked, should have sketched new horizons and new ways of thinking about the world. We like to think that openness has been an important part of the way Monash has approached the world, and it sits behind Monash's great commitment to internationalisation. It is a reason it's been open to the world, not just in those whom it embraces and the many countries from which they come, but in its willingness to step beyond the comfortable place where we began into other countries, with campuses in Malaysia, in India, in Mumbai, in Suzhou, in China, with relationships with universities in many places around the globe. And it's for that reason that Monash is one of Australia's and indeed the world's most internationalised universities. And so whether your career keeps you here in Australia or takes you to Asia, Europe or the Americas, or indeed to all of those places, when you leave this place, the people whom you meet, among them, it is very likely you will meet another Monash graduate, because our alumni are spread far and wide across the world. And that is because not just that they are there, but that you were educated, we hope, in a way that's prepared you to work successfully in many places in the world, and to be prepared to be in a world that is global in its way of thinking and its way of working, and that is the future for you. The final value I wanted to invoke this evening is respect. You've been given the privilege of a wonderful education. You are indeed all very able. You're capable of tackling academic tasks successfully, indeed very successfully. They're powerful advantages. Use them wisely. Be ethical. Be honest. Aspire always to fairness. And be generous. Be generous with your time. Be generous in your assessment of others. Be generous with what you can give the world. By doing this, you prove yourself worthy of the investment that your families, the university and your community have made in you. And so they're all very serious values, and they are very, very important. But there is one more thing I'd say this evening. This is a night to celebrate. Indeed, you are graduating, and so among all those other things, I urge you to celebrate. And on behalf of the university, I offer my congratulations. Thank you. I now call upon Professor Brian Horrigan, Dean of the Faculty of Law.
Mr. Deputy Chancellor, I certify to you and to the Council of Monash University that all candidates now to be presented, and those others listed in your copy of the graduation program, have fulfilled the conditions prescribed by the Council of Monash University for admission to the degrees and for the award of the diplomas indicated in the program. Would all candidates for degrees and diplomas of the Faculty of Law please stand?
Graduands, with the authority of Council, I admit you to the degrees and award the diplomas to which you are entitled. I also admit to the degrees and award the diplomas to which they are entitled those others who are absent today, but are listed in my copy of the graduation programme. Graduates, as you now are, this moment marks an important milestone in your lives. This ceremony is a visible culmination of your hard work and commitment. Your achievements are outstanding, and you should always look back on this moment with great pride. I personally congratulate you, and I now ask members of the audience to applaud your accomplishments.
Please be seated. Mr. Deputy Chancellor, graduates from the Faculty of Law will be presented to you by Dr. Jerry Natsam, the new Associate Dean Education of the Faculty of Law.
Mr. Deputy Chancellor, I present to you graduates from the Faculty of Law who have been admitted to the following degrees and awarded the following diplomas today. Faculty of Business and Economics. The following graduate is presented on behalf of the Dean of the Faculty of Business and Economics, Bachelor of Commerce and Bachelor of Economics, Erin C. Lin Soon. Faculty of Law, Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Laws, Molly Catherine Balch. Megan Marie Boschetti. Alexis Kate Elizabeth Buckley. Olivia May Dalton. Tanaz Degan. Nadia Angelica Dorr Wheeler. Claire Victorian Duggan. Cassandra Jean Evans. Sarah Naomi Field. Steve Efstratios Karakis. Jared Paul Gook. Arthur William Hambus. Edward Alexander Hamley. Madeline Rose Hanover. Michael Andreas Haram Lumbus. Megan Barbara Jones. Lakmini Mahipala. Daniel Nash. Anna Louise Oleos. Caitlin Marie Petrie. Kelsey Faye Ryan. Isabel Marsha Smith. Stephanie Laura Walters. Prudence Lynn Wheeler. Stephanie Tashi Williams. Rebecca Cheng Wan Wong. Georgia Zoma. Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Laws with Honours, Alice Ma Alexander. Nicholas Peter Allingham. Marla Andrade. Madeline Rose Armstrong. Ainsley Ann Atkins. Catherine Brown. Rebecca Burns. Jaeyoon Kai. Jonathan Charles Frederick Chandler. Candice Joan Coleman. Susan Helen Crow. Elizabeth Alana Davies. Chandni Dingra. Alessandra Lucia De Natali. Kim An Hun Do. Georgia Dobbin. Marco Fedeli. Helen Elizabeth Ferguson. Emily Fisher. Jessica Kate Foster. Jethro Mark Fries. Sarah Gow. Matthew Gashi. Sarah Ellen Glynn. Julia Ashley Gresh. Sarah Janet Griffin. Mitchell William Harvey. James William Hunter Smith. Emily Jane Islip. Emma Claire Jakeman. Sarah Elizabeth Johnson. Tammy Lisa Camille. Jeremy Peter Karitzis. Ellen Elizabeth Kenner. Laura Jane Kerridge. Miriam Kalash. Hugh James Krantz. L. Josephine Kulutza. Joel Peretz Lazar. Jacinta Kate Leary. Rebecca Joy Liu. Amy Louise McIntosh. Philippa Katie Malone. Jack Peter Marquise. Andrea Mastriani. Gabriella Maria Mazzoni. Marta McCormick. Darcy Alistair McLennan. Jason Wing Chung Mok. Vanessa Louise Murphy. Rebecca Jane Murray. Gisella Nip. Gabrielle Tyne Pash. Zoe Papa Giorgio. Lauren Ruth Quick. Timothy Jake Rankin. Jessica Gina Rogers. Samantha Kate Baker Rowe. Emily Jane Scott. Parissa Cheyenne. Natasha Gretel Simons. Claire Lillian Southwell. Alon Takash. Rachel Rosa Tamir. Claire Thurstons. Stephanie Tran. Jacob Uren. Nathan James Van Wees. Nathan has also been awarded the University Medal for Undergraduate Academic Excellence. Elizabeth Sarah Velkovich. Emma Catherine Velkovich. Amber Wilkie. Ellen Rebecca Williams. Bradley James Woods. Alyssa Grace Young. Helen Yu. Joshua Arvind Yuvaraj. The Honours degree of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Laws, Kelsey Nicole Paskey. The Honours degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Laws with Honours, Tully James Anders. Stephanie Elizabeth Garnham. Daniel Hertzberg. Stephen Roberts Moore. Tia Alexandra Wishart. Bachelor of Biomedical Science and Bachelor of Laws, Yuchan Helena Gong. James Robert Livy. Bachelor of Biomedical Science and Bachelor of Law with Honours, Pabiola Hyunji Choi. Anne Catherine Goller. Bachelor of Business, Banking and Finance and Bachelor of Laws, Trent Ashley Phillip Stevenson. Bachelor of Business, Banking and Finance and Bachelor of Law with Honours, Jordana Lasua. Deepika Powell. Amal Gregory Weeramantry. Dennis Gregory Wong. Bachelor of Commerce and Bachelor of Laws, Michael Jacob Anbund. Dang Nguyen Hung Ki Khan. Zi Ziong Kwan. Nikul Gallapalli. Benjamin James Hicks. Tom Kuravilla. Sylvia Lay. Guy McCallan. Samuel Luke Mutton. Scott Jonathan Ogilvie. Christy Sipkas. Byron Sivajanan Sivananasan. Zua Sahil. Glenn Jared Solomon. Dustin Tarr. Amelia Grace Watson. Bachelor of Commerce and Bachelor of Laws with Honours, Joshua Frank Berlinski. Travis William Herbert Chalk Hatton. Michelle Hoyi Ku Chen. Wai Yen Winnie Chung. Nicole Chong. Michael Kin Seong Chung. Louisa Maria Chu Colosimo. James Edward Earp. Laura Jane Elliott. Lu Feng. Amanda Jane Fung. Christopher Hammer. Laura Ruth James. Dennis Yap. Justin Matthew Joff. Helena Annalisa Canton. Daniel Gregory Kerr. Nina Chris. William David Kunzler. Jessica Anna Leppert. Karena Wingku Leong. Alicia Antonia Longo. Adam James Lebowski. Ian David Ludsky. Olivia McIntosh. Olivia Rose Mitchell. Hashani Munasinghe. Samuel Peter Nottle. Stephanie Pashiris. Jakub Powell Patella. Alexander Tate Purcell. Ellen Claire Rattray. Ellen Marie Rose. Alexander Patrick Ryan. Shamitha Rebecca Silvaratnam. Stephanie Margaret Shannon. Matthew Thomas Schnuckel. Pauline Somm. Ashley Joel Sorrenti. Tessa Joy Meckley Spence. Rachel Wanpeng Tiao. Ahmed Terzik. Michael Ryan Thurin. Yi Sien Jonathan Singh. Lauren Patricia Wally. Joanne Ting Wang. Catherine Elizabeth Wardell. David Gabrielle West. Tamara Margaret Wright. Bachelor of Engineering with Honours in the field of Civil Engineering and Bachelor of Laws, Nirashan Sachithananda. Bachelor of Engineering with Honours in the field of Civil Engineering and Bachelor of Laws with Honours, James Andrew McNichol Smith. Jared Nash. Bachelor of Engineering with Honours in the field of Materials Engineering and Bachelor of Laws, Edmund Lizu Soon. Bachelor of Engineers with Honours in the field of Mechanical Engineer and Bachelor of Laws with Honours, Vinay Kumar. Carl Green, Kasan Lai. Bachelor of Laws with Honours and Bachelor of Music, Yi Ling Melissa N. Grace Sophia Went. Bachelor of Laws and Bachelor of Performing Arts, Daniel Isaac Benge. Thomas Robert Molyneux. Bachelor of Law with Honours and Bachelor of Performing Arts, Gillian Baldwin Britton. Christopher John Chosich. Stephanie Laura Zolis. Bachelor of Laws and Bachelor of Science, Sawar Haji. Carolyn Hazel Ray. Margaret Nicole Zoids. Bachelor of Law with Honours and Bachelor of Science, Samantha Kate Orty. James Robert Edward Beavis. Chantel Louise Brott. Catherine Ann Gunst. Pidor Singh. Bachelor of Laws, Noor Ashikin Abdul Aziz. Andrew Christopher Blyberg. Mona Meghazel. George Alexander Mercedes. Sandra Murray. David Francis Neal. Vishal Patel. Chengyi Fa. Marcus Lee Ki Tan. Alexandra Ann Vidorlak. Bachelor of Laws with Honours, Linton Kurong Brooks. Madeline Jamie Carroll. Lauren Nicole DeCamp. Georgia Lee Ellis. Madeline Jane Exton. William James Francis. Lana Celeste Girton. Anne Pollington Hescock. Oh, cowboy. Michelle Lam Yisan. Sue Keong Lee. Haim Yedea Levin. Felicity Jane Maddern. Erin May Phillips. Hazel Louise Wally. Graduate Diploma in Law, Mitchell Kerrod Tyler Jackson. Master of Commercial Law, Adam Hellman. Naomi Wanjuku Munga. Christopher Allen Oster. Master of Human Rights Law, Zamira Sharifi. Master of Laws, Shane Christopher Bedford. Adam Daniel Stephen Costa. Laura Elizabeth Eyre Morantz. Master of Laws, Human Rights, Yvette Alicia Sitel. Master of Laws, Juris Doctor, Chloe Bartlett. Niranjala Benedict. Andrew Murray Black. Jacinta Marie Blanche. Stephen Andrew Berchier. Kieran Shannon Bowling. Tennille D. Bulmer. Alice Burton. Nicole Jane Cesario. Laura chalk. Mignon Chong. Jonathan Richard Colston. Simon D'Angelo. Jade Lauren De Bono. Bo Deng. Tai Nu Tui Din. Eleanor Jane Downey. Georgia Louise Dyer. Emily Kate Field. Fatos Fatma Feliz. Jack Samuel Furphy. Carmel Renee Gara. Richard Herman Gurlitz. Lillian Greystone. Isabel Green. Timothy John Hancock. Richard James Reginald Hanson. Annabelle Jane Healy. Louise Ann Hurd. Ellen Hogan. Alana Margaret Hudson. Laura Sutton Irving. Kate Elizabeth James. Alicia Johnson. John Wesley Jordan. Zach Anthony Kadachi. Deke Kemper. Zeng Shi Lam. Kelvin Lau Young Ming. Oh, hang on. Don't miss one. Natalie Landberg. Sorry. Now Kelvin. Andrew Liu. Michael Chin Ho Lo. Jonathan Makoch. Sana Fatima Malik. Eleni Kathleen Matakis. Louise Elizabeth McCabe. Daniel Robin McCloskey. Kamal Pramil Nand. Christina Tui Lin Nguyen. Alistair Noakes. Ji-Wing Ong. Peter John Pakunis. Janelle Pepin. Jake Roberts. David Sandbach. Lucia Sant'Angelo. Diana Shamu. Clementine Gabriella Shaw. Rebecca Ann Sinclair. Edward Hunter Smith. Catherine Joy Southwell. Stephen Michael Spears. Bradford Craig Starkey. Mia Rebecca Swift. James Demetrios Celios. Kate Elizabeth Van Rennen. Simona Maria Versace. Emily Wan. Rowan Westbury. Kate Elizabeth Williams. Priscilla Yap. Takako Christina Yoshizawa. Ashley Louise Young. Master of Laws, Workplace and Employment Law, Claire Elizabeth Sharp. The Doctor of Juridical Science for research titled Sharing Parenting and Experimental Family Law Reforms, Section 65DAA of the Family Law Act 1975. Dr. Anna Catherine Parker. Doctor of Philosophy for research titled Moving Towards a Low Carbon Economy in Australia, a Taxing Question, a comparison of tax laws that affects the cost of road transport activities in Australia and Germany. Dr. Vanessa Leah Johnson. For research titled Regulating Retail Structured Products for the Less Than Rational Investor, an analysis of recent regulatory policy in 3 jurisdictions, Dr. Martin Alistair Joy. For research titled Pursuing Consistency, the Effect of Different Reforms on Unjustified Disparity in Individualised Sentencing Frameworks, Dr. Sarah Krasnostein. That's tough. For research titled Sentencing Offenders with Mental Health Problems, a Principled Approach, Dr. Jamie Mark Wolvich. Mr. Deputy Chancellor, that concludes the presentation of graduates from the Faculty of Law.
We now have the opportunity to hear from one of our talented musicians from the Sir Zelman Cowen School of Music. Please welcome Mr. Ziggy Johnson to the ceremony, who will be performing Capriccio Alabe composed by Francisco Tarrega. Thank you, Ziggy, for that wonderful performance. I now invite President and Vice-Chancellor Professor Margaret Gardner to present a candidate for the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
Mr. Deputy Chancellor, Mr. Ian Pyman is a legal consultant with more than 40 years' experience with a specialty as a transactions lawyer. He was for some 20 years a partner of Arthur Robinson and Hedowicks. Mr. Pyman has a Bachelor of Juris and a Bachelor of Laws from Monash University. Over his career, he's acted for a range of companies and boards, including companies in manufacturing, telecommunications, property, information technology, as well as financial institutions, educational institutions, professional services firms, insolvency practitioners, and government and publicly owned organisations. More recently, Mr. Pyman has been a consultant to the Melbourne legal firm Grindle and Patrick. Mr. Pyman was also engaged for 3 years as legal counsel to the Royal Victorian Eye and Ear Hospital, and he's also worked in areas including provision of governance and consulting services to a range of other businesses. Mr. Pyman is very fondly thought of at Monash University for his very valuable contributions to the university. Mr. Pyman was a member of the Council of Monash University from 2005 to 2014, including 5 years as Deputy Chancellor of the university. So this is not his first graduation ceremony. During his council term, Mr. Pyman was chair of the Audit and Risk Committee and a member of the Remuneration and Membership Committees of the university, as well as various other subcommittees and selection panels. I should say that for many years before that, Mr. Pyman gave much of his time to the Faculty of Law and is also fondly remembered for his support of that faculty over those many years. Apart from those governance roles with Monash University, Mr. Pyman has been a non-executive director of Virax Holdings Limited, non-executive director of Melbourne Venture Securities Proprietary Limited, and of several unlisted companies in medical services, brand marketing, financial services, industrial services and e-commerce. Mr. Pyman has also been involved in not-for-profit organisations including as a director and chairman of Brainwave Australia, an organisation that works to assist the families of children with acquired brain injuries and disabilities, and also as a director of the Triton Foundation, which assists entrepreneurs in their commercialisation activities. In the January 2016 Australia Day Honours, Mr. Pyman was recognised as a member of the Order of Australia for significant services to the community, particularly through leadership of education and health organisations and to the law. Mr. Deputy Chancellor, it gives me the very greatest pleasure to present to you for admission to the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa, Ian Frederick Pyman.
With the authority of Council, I admit you, Ian Frederick Pyman, to the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa. I now have much pleasure in inviting Dr. Ian Pyman to deliver the graduation address.
Mr Deputy Chancellor, Madam Vice-Chancellor, members of the University Council, Dean of the Faculty of Law, members of the academic staff, distinguished guests, friends, and most importantly, graduates. Thank you, Vice-Chancellor, for that overly generous introduction. May I start by acknowledging the traditional owners of this land and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. May I also then congratulate our new graduates. I know how incredibly hard you've worked to get here, and this is one of my favourite events of the year. You should rightfully be proud of your achievements, and I also pay my respects to you. I know from sitting in the middle chair on this stage on a number of occasions at other graduations that this is the point where smartphones are usually produced to check your Facebook and Instagram and other social media. And I, of course, don't entirely blame you because this is the boring part of the evening. But I promise to be brief, so I won't hold you up from your celebrations. I need to start by thanking the Council of the University for granting me this distinct honour. I hope I've served the University faithfully, and I've done so through a sense of duty and responsibility, not to receive honours such as this. It's nevertheless immensely gratifying to be acknowledged in this way, and I'm truly humbled by the honour. I'm particularly grateful to all my colleagues on Council and in the University's senior management who made me look so much better than I am. Moving on then to my theme for this evening, the future of the legal profession in Australia. It's an issue that I regard as fundamentally important to you and to society in general. Lawyers often get a bad rap. I'm told that there are only 3 true lawyer jokes, the rest true stories. Yet the legal profession still plays a critical function in society founded on the rule of law. I assume that most of you studied law because you at least have some interest in understanding the application of law to society, even if you don't intend to practice. A law degree is no longer just a path to a traditional career in law. Many see it as part of a broader education on the way to other careers, from science and engineering to government, management consulting and media. Of course, those of you who follow different career paths will in many cases still be heavy users of legal services. Changes in the way those services are delivered will impact on you just as much as those of you who remain in the profession. So what is the future of the legal profession? Well, I honestly wish I knew, because if I did, I could make a lot of money telling law firms what to do. What I have to say is simply my personal view, but is based on over 40 years of experience, a lot of reading and a lot of listening. The only certain thing is that the practice of law is going to be significantly different from what I experienced during my career. And competition among legal practitioners is fierce. Indeed, I despair a little about the lack of respect I see between legal practitioners from time to time. The differences in legal practice may enhance that competitiveness. The differences, though, will largely be driven by technological disruption, the cost of legal services, and popular demand for better access to the courts and justice. Let's start with the negatives of all this change, and in no particular order. First, law firms can't accommodate all graduates from Australia's multitude of law schools. Australia produces about 12,000 law graduates every year. That's far too many in a country with a population of just 24 million. I understand the total number of graduates in the USA is about 48,000 per annum, for a population around 10 times the size. There are simply not enough positions in the legal profession for all those Australian graduates. And the availability of graduate positions is not likely to improve much. For example, when I was a staff partner in the mid-1990s, we were employing around 45 to 50 graduates every year. The firm that I came from is now employing less than half that number. Secondly, disruption through technology, artificial intelligence and automation is changing the labour market needs in the legal profession. As one journalist puts it, hello, robo-lawyer. The UK futurology expert Richard Susskind puts it this way: if we can see the day in which the average desktop machine has more processing power than all of humans combined, then it might be time for lawyers to rethink some of their working practices. For example, automation of documents in a number of areas of legal practice is already changing the nature of the work done by, and indeed the need for, lawyers and paralegals. A recent article in the Australian Financial Review is headed, "Computers will be designed to manage our economic interactions." The article talks about the way in which algorithms will be able to change the financial structure of, for example, a contract between a food supplier and a food processor instantaneously without human, in other words lawyer, intervention. That may of course cause inequities, and you just need to think of the situation recently with dairy farmers to recognise that. Thirdly, legal process outsourcing has already fundamentally changed the way in which the legal profession operates. For example, litigation discovery processes and due diligence are now being outsourced to specialist firms, often located in another country, at much cheaper rates. And fourthly, certain jobs in the profession will not exist or will fundamentally change over the next 10 to 20 years. For example, I think lawyers with project management qualifications and skills will be increasingly important in legal practice, whilst lawyers doing more process-driven tasks will gradually disappear. But problems should only be viewed through the prism of opportunity. And you are all in the fortunate position of being a graduate from a unique law school, one that has consistently been ranked in the top 25 law schools in the QS World University Rankings. Monash Law has provided you with an invaluable grounding and a quality education in law. So what do you do with the opportunity you've been given? A good starting point is a report published by Katie Miller, the 2015 President of the Law Institute of Victoria. The report is called Disruption, Innovation and Change, the Future of the Legal Profession. It reflects work done by Katie during her term as President and is based on her discussions with lawyers, technologists, marketers, academics and students in both Australia and the United States. It's available online and I recommend you read it. I've selectively chosen some of the headings used by Katie in that report because I think these are the ones that are highly relevant. Firstly, innovators are all specialists and collaborators. Because the practice of law has become increasingly specialised, lawyers must focus on their area of specialisation and must therefore learn to collaborate with other specialists. And that means not just specialists in the law, but in other fields of work. As Katie says, innovators know very clearly what they do, how they do it, and why they do it. They work with a range of people and professionals to build services. Secondly, innovators are not using time-based billing. I'm not a fan of time-based billing, although for a long time there was no viable alternative, or at least no incentive to find an alternative. In my view, time-based billing can entrench inefficiencies, and that certainly isn't the interest of clients. Some of you will know the joke about the lawyer who dies and meets St Peter at the pearly gates. The lawyer says, "Why did I die so young? I'm only 55. And St Peter says, "Well, that can't be right. Your timesheets show you're at least 88 years old." Innovators would use other means of charging for their services that better suit the needs of a client and which are quality-based or outcome-based. So, for example, value-based billing, where the lawyer and the client talk about the real value to the client of the work and how much it should cost, recognising your skills and experience that are brought to bear on that project. And that includes the lawyer's own intellectual property, which, like any other IP, should be treated as a valuable asset. And secondly, fixed price billing, where the lawyer and the client have an honest discussion about the scope of the work and the lawyer uses his or her experience to arrive at a fixed cost for doing the work within that scope. In all cases, it requires honesty on both sides to arrive at a mutually satisfactory result. Thirdly, innovators see opportunities. It was reported in the Australian Financial Review that a recent survey of law firms found that lawyers are resistant to technology and cloud services in particular. The fact is that lawyers tend to be risk averse and see technology as exposing them and their clients to unacceptable risk. But a clear result of not embracing technology is an increased cost of providing legal services. Innovators, on the other hand, see technology and social media as a means of giving them a commercial advantage in attracting work and servicing the needs of their clients more efficiently and cost effectively. But I say this with an important qualification, which I'm going to return to in a moment. I mentioned earlier that lawyers with project management skills will be increasingly important. These are the people who will, for example, use their experience in technology to manage the outsourced providers of services. Their brief will include issues around protecting the confidentiality of data and information, ensuring that outsourcing doesn't result in a loss of legal professional privilege, and ensuring that important pieces of data or information are not overlooked. And fourthly, innovators are changing the way we need to educate and train lawyers. Our system of educating lawyers is largely based on a 20th century view of what makes a good lawyer and how lawyers provided advice to clients last century. While the priestly 11, the 11 core law subjects, are still fundamentally important, law schools will need to adapt the way those subjects are taught. As a senior member of the Sydney Law School puts it, it's going to be a world where you still really need to concentrate on your core skills and then be prepared for a whole new range of possibilities. Internationally, globally, the walls are breaking down. You've got to be competitive internationally. You do that by understanding the principles of good lawyering. Clients of law firms are embracing technology and the globalisation of business, and law firms are having to be more adept in the way they deal with client service. The firms want lawyers who are capable of agile thinking and solving complex problems. And international firms are not afraid to come here to recruit these agile thinking Australian lawyers straight into their overseas offices, particularly in Asia. The demands of clients and therefore of the profession present challenges that major law schools must address. There was a recent panel discussion under the name Paradigm Shifts in a series on the future of the legal profession. Lawyers Weekly reported that the panel's message to law schools was very clear. Get the core skills and knowledge right, combine that with teaching the use of technology, and position students for globalisation through cultural and language skills, particularly the Asian languages. All of this can be summed up by a 2015 article in the Sydney Morning Herald. According to the article, there are 4 things you should do as a new lawyer. Think digitally, think globally, think outside the square of the traditional legal profession, and remember the core principles that still underpin the practice of law. And if you think those are simply the views of a journalist, think again. They in fact come from senior members of 4 major law schools. So what practical advice can I give you tonight? There are so many things I could say, but I'm going to limit it to just 4 things. First, despite what I say about innovation in the law, please remember that technology is and always will be a tool and not a solution. Yes, technology can produce a pro forma contract or use an algorithm to make instantaneous changes to the financial data of a contract. But legal problems will always require creative thought by a human. I don't know any software that can draft a clause in a contract that will satisfy the commercial needs of the parties, analyse a statute and apply that analysis to advise a client how best to structure a transaction, or understand how to create a standstill agreement that suits the needs of a financially troubled group of companies. Secondly, when a client comes to you, they assume you've done several years at law school and therefore expect you to know the law. They don't want you to tell them what a judge decided in a case in 1935 or 1995. All they want to know is, can I or can't I do this? And if I can't, how can I achieve my intended outcome? Your job is to apply your knowledge of the law to solving their problem in the most efficient and cost-effective way possible. Thirdly, once you've made a decision to pursue a particular career or a specialty within a career path, stick with it. You've probably been told that there will be multiple career changes through your working life. I don't necessarily subscribe to that theory. You don't want to end up in 40 years, at my age, feeling as though you've chopped and changed your way through life. If you're good at whatever it happens to be, stick to it. And finally, my father instilled in me 2 values that have shaped my life. The absolute importance of education, and you've all achieved that. and the duty to public service. Those values have reminded me often of the famous quote from Sir John Monash, which has been the foundation of this great university. Adopt as your fundamental creed that you will equip yourself for life, not solely for your own benefit, but for the benefit of the whole community. Your own law school sets the best example of community service for you. Most people assume that if you can't afford a lawyer, the state will provide one to ensure that justice is served. But given the scarcity of legal aid funding now, even most people living below the poverty line are not eligible for legal aid. Monash Law is one of the largest providers in Australia of pro bono legal services through its clinical legal education services. Those clinical services provide access to justice for around 7,000 people a year who would not otherwise have that access. So you can help by, for example, donating your time and services and skills to assist with the work done by the clinics. And there are so many other ways you can get involved in public service. All I ask is that you live one of the fundamental values of this university to improve the human condition. In conclusion then, I hope you won't mind me being a little self-indulgent. This evening has been, for me, all about family. I've already mentioned the broad church that is the Monash family, and Monash University has been like a family to me for over 45 years. Sometimes dysfunctional, but always welcoming. The university has also been a significant part of my real family. My father spent the last 17 years of his life as a consultant in the law faculty, and he once told me that they were some of the happiest years of his life. My brother Michael has an honours degree in science before going on to do veterinary science at that other university in Parkville. My niece Amanda has an honours degree in business and economics, followed by a PhD in industrial relations from this university. My daughter Rebecca is a graduate in business and economics, majoring in marketing and management, now working at Deloitte. And my son-in-law Michael Donnelly, after completing a political science degree at La Trobe University, undertook a law degree at Monash. And in fact, Michael received his degree at the first graduation ceremony which I officiated on this stage. So apart from my late father, all of those are here tonight. Indeed, I'm humbled and proud that my brother Mike and my niece Amanda agreed to be on this stage with me as members of tonight's academic procession, and I thank them very much. My family is and always has been an inspiration for me, and I thank them sincerely for being such an important part of my journey. But I leave the most important to last, my wife of 40 years, Anne. She has suffered through all that time with the demands of my career, and in more recent times with the demands of Monash University on my time. And she has done so without complaint and with complete loyalty. Thank you is nowhere near enough, but it will have to do for the moment. So I close by thanking Monash University again for this enormous privilege. And I warmly congratulate all of our new graduates and wish you as much enjoyment as I have had through my career. You now have an opportunity to make a real difference. Please seize that opportunity. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ian, Dr. Pyman, for sharing your insight and indeed your foresight in what was a wise and very thought-provoking address. Thank you. Graduates, as you leave this ceremony, remember that you're not leaving the university, no matter how far you may move away from this time and this place. As alumni of the university, you are joined to the university and to each other by a link that cannot be broken and we very much hope will be strongly maintained. I urge you to keep in touch with the University Alumni Group. The alumni page in your copy of the graduation programme is a guide to what we have to share with you, wherever you may be. In congratulating you upon your achievements, I particularly want to acknowledge the contribution of your lecturers, supervisors, tutors and the professional staff of the university, who've ensured your presence at this ceremony. It is not always possible to give public recognition to their hard work and their dedication, but I would ask you now to take this opportunity to show them your appreciation by a round of applause. Thank you. I know that university study is not easy. During your many years of research and learning, you've had to cope with the stresses of examinations and assignments, and combine study with outside work or family obligations. Throughout this time, you were encouraged and supported by your parents, husbands, wives, partners, brothers, sisters, guardians, or friends. To acknowledge their contribution, I now invite you to stand and turn and express your gratitude by a round of applause. Thank you. Please be seated. I cordially invite everyone to continue the celebrations by coming to the Campus Centre Dining Hall for refreshments. Graduates, I invite you to join the procession as the official party leaves the hall, and I ask members of the audience to remain standing at their seats until all our graduates have left the hall. The ceremony is now at an end. Thank you.